Hey guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we are reviewing Cyberpunk 2077. It is out, it's been out for just over a week when you actually see this, and I think we need to address some stuff that's happened in the interim since its launch. Stuff that hasn't really put CD Projekt Red in the best light, and although they claim they want to get some of that trust back, they are currently busy throwing more of it away. Okay, so I will sort of put an addendum to this that I bought and played the PC version. I will be reviewing the PC version. I am aware that the PS4 and Xbox One versions are pretty much broken. I don't consider 17 frames a second to be playable on any platform, and they need to do some serious work there. It's super scummy of them not to have shown those versions prior to the game's release, because you're just lying to people so they buy your product and find out that it doesn't actually work. And from a company where they were considered to be like the good ones in worlds of Bethesda and Naughty Dog's, CD Projekt Red were considered to be the good ones based on how good The Witcher 3 was, their DLC policy, giving us all that free content. The content you did have to pay for was just absolutely massively worth it, given the amount of content you got for the money. And of course they had GOG, which was pushing back against draconian anti-piracy measures. And now to have released the two last-gen consoles like that, they almost broken promises during the development cycle, and that they kept delaying it. I mean, we can see why they did that now. And also, if that wasn't bad enough, and they're really reeling from that that PR hit, they then go and bend the knee to China as well by delisting a game that used to have a Winnie the Pooh meme in it from their GOG store the day they announced that it was going on the GOG store.
No need to worry, I won't stand long.
Lads, come on. You need to start righting the ship, and you need to do it quick. Otherwise, you're just going to be another Bethesda. With that out of the way, let me talk about the PC version. So Cyberpunk puts you in the boots of V, a merc for hire in a dystopian cyber techie future reality. And you have three paths to play. Well, I say paths, but it's more like prologues. It's more like something... It's more like what they did in Dragon Age Origins, maybe? I mean, outside of the prologue and a few different dialogue options that come up as a result of your origin, there's not too much impact in the actual game from it. And the prologues aren't very long either. They're probably about a half hour, maybe less. And they just basically introduce you to Jackie, and then it spools forward like 6 months later where you're working with him sort of on a regular basis, and then it sort of launches into the game. So you go through a series of missions, and about 10 hours in, I would say, you do the mission where you end up with Johnny Silverhand in your head. I'm going to keep this spoiler free. Everybody knows that already from the marketing. And you need to go about trying to get him removed from your head, basically. Keanu as Johnny Silverhand is fine, but I find Johnny to be a complete dickhead and Keanu to be very likable. So I'm not sure he actually works in the role, and he doesn't really. I mean, if you've seen him in like John Wick or stuff like that, you know he can emote, right? He just doesn't seem very excited for anything he says. It's all like quiet sarcasm and the occasional shout. I'm not sure I buy him. I like the idea of the character, and the way it's interwoven into the story is well done. I'm just not sure about Keanu playing him, and I like Keanu generally. I mean, I think he works well in certain roles like John Wick or Ted Theodore Logan, but like other roles like Jonathan Harker and putting him in Shakespeare, no, that's not a Keanu role. I think he works exceedingly well in some roles, other roles not so much, and this is kind of straddling the line for me, and it's almost like a not so much role for me. So let's address the performance that I had on the PC. Ahead of the time, I'm running an i7-6700K, which I've overclocked to 4.4, and a 2080 Super, although I'm pretty sure it firmly throttles because I bought a cheaper one. But I can have everything on maximum, DLS on quality, and I will get a consistent 60 frames per second. Once I turn ray tracing on, I can go all the way up to ultra, having to increase DLSS to performance, which does make it a bit blurry, so I don't necessarily like to do that. Although, in fairness to it, it's not so much noticeable in gameplay, but it is noticeable. Like when you go to your inventory screen, you see like your character stood in the middle of it. It's super blurry there, and you're like, oh shit, what's going on there? And when I did that, so like all the bells and whistles with a few tweaks, I think it was one of the shadow settings, I turned the resolution of it down, and the crowd I turned down as well. That was helped stop me running people over though. So there's that, and that was getting me between 45 and 60, which is playable, and it looks amazing, even with performance DLSS. I tried it without DLSS and ray tracing on. I got 7 frames a second, so I'm afraid DLSS is mandatory. I couldn't speak to the performance on like a higher card, like a 3080 or a 3090 even, or even AMD's latest batch, although I would imagine they would struggle as well because their ray tracing results aren't particularly great compared to their Nvidia brethren, which is to be expected as their first gen. So, I mean, I didn't really have any performance issues. I just had to be realistic in the settings that I used. And if I turn ray tracing off, as I said, I was able to get a rock solid 60. I locked it at 60, so it wouldn't be jumping around the place, and it was fine. There were a few drops here and there, but it was mainly when it was auto saving and stuff like that. So that's forgivable in my experience. The bugs I encountered, I did have a few. Nothing like those that we're hearing from other people. So I consider myself one of the lucky ones. I did have one bug which wouldn't allow me to proceed in a mission. It was literally about 3 hours after I started playing it on day of release. I reloaded the game, and it basically progressed the mission. I just go to the next bit. So it's not a huge issue, and it's the only time I've had anything like that happen to me. I've had one crash to desktop. Don't know why that happened. It hasn't ever done it again, and it hadn't done it before. There are a few graphical glitches. So I've had some of the T-posing going on, like very, very rarely though. It seems to be like if I've got V on a motorcycle, which is my preferred method of transport in the game outside of quick travel, they will have like just minuscule microseconds of him just popping up onto a T-pose on top of his bike and then back down again. It happens so infrequently though, it's not really anything to be concerned about. I have had some flying artifacts. There's a scene where you're talking to Jackie and he's eating noodles. I've had sort of lots of chopsticks, one just floating there and the other one actually working, so that's a thing. Sometimes objects, pickups like looting, it's very hit and miss. That could be a coding issue rather than a bug. Other times you'll get a loot highlight, but you won't be able to even see what it is, let alone pick it up. So far that seems to be the case mostly on robots. I'm not sure if that's because I haven't got like an associated skill, or whether it's just a bug. Don't know. But outside of that, I've had remarkably little. Oh, I did have actually one where sitting was a problem for V. So it's all in first person, obviously. Apart from when you're driving, you can have a third person viewpoint, which I think is a mistake, but I'll get into that later. And I would sit down, and her arms would be like out straight, and then only her wrists would react. So she'd just be like Frankenstein, but just doing everything like her arms are stuck in that position. That was kind of funny, and that happened in my first playthrough, I think. First playthrough. But only right at the start of the game, and I've never had it since. That's after the 1.04 patch. So I'm assuming they've gotten rid of that now.
Why don't we start with you then?
As they now sit and act like human beings.
Never been to NC.
So I didn't have too many bugs. So I can think I got quite lucky perhaps. But I mean, it's the experience I've had. And I can only base the review off of that.
You don't have to like each other.
To be perfectly honest, I mean, I get that other people are having a lot more issues with it, but I didn't. So I can't really base my review on it in that fashion. However, saying that, there are a few parts of the game that I would have liked to have seen tweaked. And these aren't bugs, these are just design decisions that should have been made differently. For instance, the mini-map while driving is a nightmare. It's too zoomed in. I have lost count of the amount of times I've overshot because I've been having to pay attention to the road to avoid other traffic, rather than having my eyes glued on the mini-map so I can react within like the 2.5 seconds it takes for the line to appear on screen and disappear. You need to be at least give us manual control of that so we have certain zoom levels. That would have been good. I'm a little bit disappointed to see that upgrading your cyberware doesn't have a more physical effect on you, like your character model. I mean, there are certain ones that do, like when you start putting mantis blades in, your arms look different, or gorilla hands and stuff like that. But I mean, I had my entire skeleton sheathed in like titanium or something, and like no outside physical changes occurred at all. I was like a little bit, that's... I kind of understand why they concentrate on the arms because it's a first-person game, but that also leads me to say I don't know why they did that. I mean, like Oblivion or Skyrim, it's primarily a first-person game, but you could still like have a look at your character anytime you want, have an external view. You can see all the animations, stuff like that. So I would have really liked something like that, and to have like something that's so rooted in body modification, it would have been nice to have that actually sort of render itself on your character. Another criticism is the variety of clothing. You walk along and you're like, whoa, that's a great outfit, or like, that's sexy, that's good, that means I'll be able to see even more of my character's ass when she's on the motorcycle, which is something I obviously place quite a high priority on. But a lot of the cases, you can't find any outfits like that. And the ones that you can find are pretty ugly for the most part. And to make it even worse, is because they're so ugly, but they might have higher armor. So I'm finding myself going, well, that's going to benefit me from gameplay-wise, but I don't want to wear that shit. So a transmogrification system where you could retain item appearance or change the item appearance and keep the stats. Yeah, that would have been nice. And a lot more variety in clothing, please. I mean, I have so many fucking t-shirts. I don't care about fucking t-shirts. I want to get my character in a push-up bra and hot pants. And to be fair, I did find something like that. So that's good. Another area where I felt the game needed, I mean, this is actual story-based content, so I'm going to be quite vague. So I finished a playthrough. I'm 10 hours into a second playthrough, and I'm about 3 hours into another playthrough because I'm obviously want to check out the various life paths. And the end of the playthrough I got, it's like I'd been building up a relationship with the partner, and everything was going fine, and we were into each other and stuff. And then I just got a message from them at the end of the game during the end credits, basically telling me they're going to piss off and bye. Hope you have a nice life. Catch you never. I was like, what? What the fuck? I mean, I really didn't get the happiest ending, but for that character to act that way with the ending I did get, I'm going to call that person not so pleasant of a person, really. And not really worth my time. It was just really sort of, woof, really? You're not going to support me. You're just going to fuck off. Really. You know, I would have gone. But no, you're fucking off. Okay, right. Well, fuck you too. That was kind of the take I had on it. It was just like, oh no, man. Especially as I got quite involved. I mean, it does a really good job with its characters, and I find myself sort of really getting involved with them, even the ones I don't like. So it does a really nice job as well of interweaving them through your choices. For example, in an early mission, I had to meet a corporate representative and arrange a deal with them so we can go and get this piece of equipment from a gang. And the first time I did it, she had this other bloke with, and I don't know if I'd ever seen him before because she thought he was the mole. And I said, no, I've never seen that guy before because I hadn't. And I went through and I did the mission one certain way, and he turns up and starts attacking the place. And he's like, well, I thought I'd have you back, you know, after you got that bitch off of me. And you won't be seeing her again. She's been put out to pasture, you know. And my second playthrough I did it, and she turned up. And she was like, yeah, good work. I was like, just when it was getting interesting. And I get a phone call from her later to meet her in a no-tell hotel. And then we have kinky bondage sex. I'm just like, okay. I like that way better. Especially as once you're all done and you wake up, there's a handheld dildo which does like 460 damage. That was my melee weapon of choice for a long time. I was just running up to corpo bastards and beating them to death with a dildo. And it made me chuckle every time. Every single time. So I think we've covered a lot of the bad. I mean, there are a few bits that I haven't mentioned, and it's a lot of it's story based. It does have this thing where you sort of get to the end of an arc, and it feels like even though that character is still in game and you can call them, it just doesn't feel anything to do. So, like, you complete your romance partner's arc, and then you can call them, and you have like 3 options, and they never change, and it's all the same responses, and then you can go and see them, and as a 4th option, and you have like 2 more responses, and that's it. It's literally their involvement. I mean, I think I got 1 extra line of dialogue after something happened in the plot, and that was about it. So it's just several of the like quest lines do feel like an inorganic ending. It doesn't like peter off. It just kind of like, yep, chonk. No more contact with that guy. Move on. I don't know if I was expecting too much. It's possible that I was, because I was getting involved in the characters and wanted to like keep them in the story and keep them around. Whereas the game was more concerned with me like ushering me onto the next part and say, okay, you've done that bit, move on. So that could be a failing with me, in fairness. Okay, let's move on with what I liked. And boy, there's a lot of what I liked. We'll start with the gameplay. The gameplay is obviously first person. The combat is... I like it. I really like it. I mean, it's no advancement over what we've seen before. Certainly the hand-to-hand combat is fairly basic. It's like Oblivion, maybe sub-Oblivion level. But I really like the utility you have in it, and the hacking makes sense. I love the breaching protocol is fantastic. It's this grid-based mini-game where you have to go through a logical procession of numbers and work out where they are on the grid. And it's got just enough challenge to keep you interested and enough systems within it to be, for at least me, to be quite addictive. So I actually quite like doing them. So whenever I find an access point like that, you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to go in there. And the better you are at it, the more benefits you'll get from doing it. So that's fantastic. I'm not sure about the skill trees. I'm kind of mixed on them. So you'll have 5 attributes, stuff like body and intelligence and cool, stuff like that. And you can level them up to like level 20. You do get like 1 perk to spend on them per level, and then you get and you get additional perk points for skills underneath those. But each sort of tree of those skills also has a separate experience level, which can also go up to 20. And that gates off skills that you can buy in there. It will also give you like a benefit every time you hit a new level. So you might get like plus 2% in a certain area of the skill, and you might get a perk point, and the perk point isn't for that skill necessarily. That just, you can put that on any skill you want. So it's adaptable, but it's kind of broken as well in the fact that like some of the skill points deal with multipliers, and you can game the hell out of something that deals with multipliers quite easily and be doing insane. Like if you get a multiplier on a headshot and then like last round of this pistol magazine does, you know, critical damage or double damage, yeah, that's pretty broken. I mean, I love it because it's pretty broken, but it makes the game sort of far easier than it should be.
I appreciate the honesty.
The side quests as well. I mean, the famous example of the GameSpot reviewer who basically just barreled through the missions, said she didn't really care to do the side quests or any of the other jobs available. Yeah, she missed out a lot of the best parts of the game. Because like the main quest is kind of like,
I don't know if your client's gonna be happy getting an open package.
it's kind of like the hook, which everything hangs off of. And a lot of the side quests, the romance side quests, are fun. They really give you, I mean, you have a huge sort of arc to go through with your romance sort of options. And some of them are just like really sort of chilled, down low, sort of chill moments that you just feel, yeah, this is a nice thing. I like this. And then others, you got high octane chases in the desert and stuff like that with tanks. There's so much variety, and it all does. It covers such a wide gamut of the human existence and emotions that like missing the side quests is just, oh, it's not giving the game like 50% of the credit it's due. It really isn't. I mean, I've done side quests where I've had to take a man to hospital because his penis implant is malfunctioning. Yeah, I did that. And then I've done side quests where I've stolen a tank by carefully planning out how to down the aircraft that's carrying it and stuff like that. Or the train, I think it was a train maybe. What you get the picture. But there's so much variety in them, and you never know what you're going to get, especially when you go to like one with a question mark on it on the map, which you don't know what it is. Whereas the gigs from Fixes, you know exactly what it is, and you'll be going in there to do that. I mean, I've played fucking a concert on a stage. It's just mind-boggling how much variety there is in there. The driving is a little bit dodge. Outside of my previous complaint with the map, the handling isn't great. At times, you really have to sort of adjust to it, at how slippery the cars are. I mean, the bikes aren't too bad because you can pretty much stop on a dime if you turn hard enough. You just sort of slide sideways and stop. But the cars are, yeah, they fished all over the place. It needs some work in that regard, definitely. I mean, I'm not too salty about it because the cars are all very nicely designed and the interiors look great. But I don't ever really drive from the interior because the handling is so bad. I need to be able to see the entirety of my car and see where the ass of it is going. It's just, nah. I mean, I like the immersion of being in the first person view in the car and being able to see who's sat next to me, if someone is, and look around the interior and stuff like that. But I need to be able to see where I'm going properly, and some of the views from outside of the car, in some of them, are quite restricted. So I do find myself using the third person more than I would like to in the car bits.
Let's do this.
But I mean, there you go. I mean, there's a lot of complaints I've heard. They're saying like, yeah, I got like, some of these cars are 150,000. How am I ever going to get that money? I did it in like 3 hours. So you're not playing the game right. Get good. I mean, what I found is just going through and doing like sort of criminal operation missions for the police, where you just kill the gang members, loot everybody, find whatever the police want you to find. They give you a few grand for that, and then you just keep everything. You just pick up everything you can, and then sell it. Just sell it. Just literally pick up fucking everything. It is quite generous the amount of stuff you can pick up. And there is a perk you can get called Pat Mule, where you can pick up even more of it. So just pick up and sell in drop boxes, whatever. Just get that money in. And it's not a problem, jeez. I mean, I bought the $150,000 car on my playthroughs. It's not a problem, trust me. I don't know if I've been coming across correctly, but I actually really, really enjoy this game. I think it's fantastic. I've been lucky enough that I have not experienced any bugs to change my view of that. I was able to get it running smoothly. No massive drop-offs. Okay, I had to sacrifice ray tracing in order to do it. But I mean, that's commonplace anyway. I mean, until like the 3000 series of cards came out, everybody did that with ray tracing because it was so intensive. But yeah, I mean, I was legitimately sad when it finished. And not just because of my significant other fucking off in it. Who does that? But I wanted more in this world, I really did. And I mean, you can go back once you've completed the campaign, and you go back to the save point just before you sort of enter this lift and meet up with a contact. And then you can like attend to the other side jobs that you didn't get to do. And I'm really good. Look at that. I wouldn't have fucking played on stage if I hadn't done that. And it does. In fairness, it is one of those games that does warn you, like, hey, this is the final mission. If you want to do anything, you better get it done before you do this. But yeah, I mean, I'm just in love with the game. I mean, I've put about 80 hours into it. I mean, I'm currently recording this on Thursday, so that's in a week. I think that's reasonable going. I mean, I did have the week off. I wasn't just, skiving or anything. But I'm still playing it. In fact, like, I'm back at work today. I'm doing my lunch hour. And I can't wait for work to be over so I can play it some more. I absolutely love the game. I would change a few bits in it, but it would just be to get me more of what's already there, really. I mean, I wasn't so keen on my ending, but obviously that's one ending. You don't know how the other ones would have panned out, so I've got to go find that out. It's a world where I legitimately enjoy being. I love the depth of it. I mean, there's so many data shards lying about the place with stuff you can read on. It's incredible. I certainly haven't done that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have finished the game. I would have just been reading that. I really wish the launch for the other places could have gone better, and there'd be less bugs, because it is a game that deserves to be played, and an achievement that CD Projekt Red deserve to be congratulated for having made. But as it stands, we can't really do that because of the bugs, because of the previous console versions, and they're bending the knee. They've kind of done it to themselves, really. I mean, I would love nothing more than to be able to support CD Projekt Red, because it is a fantastic game they've released, and The Witcher 3 is also a fantastic game. But they needed to be upfront and at least delay last gen titles, because they're unplayable. You don't sell something that isn't playable. You just don't do that. That's beyond scummy. I mean, I know the comparison's been, but knock a year off and you got 76. That's all I'm saying. And the previous gen versions are definitely in that conversation with Fallout 76. But the PC version isn't. And that's the one I've played. And that's the one I love. I can only hope that they fix the other versions quickly, and fix the remaining bugs on PC quickly, and give us more content, because that's what I really want. I know it's very selfish when people can't even play the damn thing, but I want more in this world, and I can't wait to get it, because I will be there for that all day. I have literally played nothing else since getting this game. Oh, I did have one round of Squadrons to see what the B-Wing was like. It was alright. And then back to Cyberpunk I went. It is a fantastic game. I'm almost completely happy with it. There's just a few, as I say, a few niggles in the way it was designed, a few bugs. I mean, give me. I mean, is it too much to ask for like some sexy clothes to put on my Cyberpunk? I managed to get some gold hot pants. Meh. But yeah, and all the palaver of the trans nature of the character creation. I can't really see that it makes any fucking difference. I mean, at the moment, I don't know if it's a bug or a design decision, but even if you strip yourself down, and you can see yourself naked on the inventory screen, in-game you're wearing underwear. So, if no one can see my junk, I'm not sure that it's important, whatever it is. Even though obviously he gave my guy the big one, because I like to keep it, real. Just saying. Yeah, no one's buying it. I know. Fuck off. But anyway, so yes, I will leave it there. I mean, I've got so much to say on this. I will probably finish the recording and be like, "Fuck, I didn't say that. Fuck, I didn't say this." But what I must say is, I would give Cyberpunk an 8.5 out of 10. I couldn't quite get it to 9, and I don't think. Literally, a game would have to be absolutely perfect, and I don't believe any game is to get a 10. I mean, I know some people would disagree with that, but personally, I think if you rate a game a 10, i.e. they can score no higher, then that game is perfect and could not be improved upon in any way. I think that's baloney. And I had to knock some points off for the bugs that I did have and some of the design decisions I didn't like. So I think 8.5 is fair. It will only get better. It will only get better. I mean, that is the positive you can take away from it. Even if you're sat there with an Xbone version that doesn't work, it will get better. Hopefully, if you want to, you can refund it. I know CDPR have said you can do that. Sony is saying you can't do that. Imagine that. Sony being arseholes. Who would have thought, eh? So, I think it just comes down to my experience with it was excellent. I had a really good time. I had relatively few bugs. I did have a few here and there. And I loved the experience, and I want more of it. And that's why I'm going to have to score it like that. I mean, if I was playing it on a last-gen console, I imagine the score would be significantly lower. But that's the experience I have. You all are going to have your own. And I hope, for those of you having problems with it, that it gets significantly better, because it is a game that should be played. Alright, we'll leave it there. Let me know what you thought of Cyberpunk down below, and I'll catch you later.